First Amendment to peacefully gather without fear of government intervention, and I think that deserves another round of applause, please. I'd like to first thank the local Tea Party here in Northeast Arkansas. That's going to happen the whole right there. I'd like to thank the local Tea Party here, especially specifically Brian Luster, for inviting me to speak and the opportunity to spread the Answer to Us message. Now, let me slow down there for just a second. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Paul Harrell. I'm the host of a radio show here in town locally. It's called Answer to Us. Thank you. Appreciate it. It broadcasts on AM 1230 KBTM from 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'm going to begin my speech. Before we move on to the rest of that, I'm going to begin. Oh, we lost me. Did we lose me?
No, I just turned your monitor down.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, good. So everyone can hear me. I'm going to begin by basically just telling you a little bit about the Answer to Us message. A little over a year ago, I was approached by the founder of this show, the founder of my show, The Movement. And the founder of my show believes strongly that America is headed for a disaster, ladies and gentlemen. And it's up to each one of us to get involved and try to save the America we grew up in. I had countless hours of discussion with him, and I read a lot, which was a new thing for me. Trust me, if you knew me before, you would agree. But we finally understood that America is on course that will lead to its downfall if we don't act now and if we don't act decisively. From those discussions, our radio program, Answer to Us, was born. We spend each day now trying to encourage our fellow citizens to get informed and get involved. I want to take this time today to try to convince each one of you here about the seriousness of our situation. And of course, we all know, right? We all know there are numerous challenges that face our country right now. And I don't have the time to even begin to discuss all of them today. But I'm going to discuss one. I want to take the time to discuss our financial plight, because none of our issues are more serious than our financial one today. The United States of America right now, as it stands, is totally bankrupt. Our current national debt stands at $12.8 trillion. And this year alone, it's going to projected to increase another $1.6 trillion. Right now, every man, woman, and child in this nation would have to send the United States Treasury $47,000 for us to settle this current outstanding debt. $47,000. But in reality, folks, these numbers are much, much worse. The $12.8 trillion represents a debt that we, Americans, our government has written contracts to repay, beginning with Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Social Security, and continuing through President Barack Obama and his health care plan. The United States government, ladies and gentlemen, has made a series of promises to pay Americans for social contracts. These promises, I'm sure a lot of you know, are called unfunded liabilities. They are unfunded because the taxes have yet to be collected to pay for these unfunded liabilities. The approximate total of these unfunded liabilities is $60 trillion more dollars to our national debt. That's another $220,000 of debt we owe per person. That means that a family of 4 owes the federal government over $1 million just to cover the debt it owes. It's time to realize that these politicians are taking out huge loans that we Americans have to repay, and it's time to put a stop to it. Obviously, folks, there's no way that we can really repay these amounts of money. And the tragedy is our politicians right now know it. That's why we're here. They know that they are borrowing and spending money that cannot be repaid, but yet they still spend. So what are the consequences going to be? A lot of people don't even know. Well, let me tell you what we think and answer to us. The first one is that our taxes are going to go up. Never mind that President Obama promised that there would be no new taxes on anyone making under $250,000 per year. Did you know, folks, that the top 10% of wage earners today pay 75% of all federal income tax? The politicians know that if they take 100% of the income from the upper 10% of the wage earners, it still won't even come close to putting a dent in our debt. Therefore, who are they going to tax? They're going to tax us. We've heard it already, the VAT tax, it's coming. We believe that you will see the Obama administration call for a national sales tax. It'll be conveniently timed after the November election. But the rate of growth of our debt, ladies and gentlemen, will not be solved with taxes. I'm sure you know each of us has to pay interest to the bank when we go borrow money, and so does Uncle Sam. This year alone, we will pay over $400 billion in interest on the debt. And this is at a time when interest rates are at record lows. When the interest rates go up, our debt is going to explode. It's going to skyrocket even more. President Obama's own budget shows an annual interest payment of over $1 trillion in future years. We believe that at some point in the not too distant future, if changes are not made, a tipping point will be reached. And when that point is reached, we will face either defaulting on our debt or hyperinflation. Either of these will cause enormous changes that will threaten our social stability. And if you don't believe me, folks, a recent bond rating agency warned that changes that will be required to fix our debt could test social cohesion. Test social cohesion. We only need to remember the days following Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans to realize how fragile our society can be. So we have to ask ourselves today, as we stand here outside the halls of justice, we've got to ask ourselves, how did we come to accept our elected officials doing what they do? How did we get here? How did America go from the largest creditor in the world to the world's largest debtor nation? How did we come to elect officials that no longer take pride in America? How did we come to accept elected officials who are either incompetent, immoral, or misguided? I would like to remind each of you here just a brief sample of the type of individual we sent to Washington to represent us. And this is going to be somewhat comical, but it's very serious. First, let's look at a recent example. We've got United States Congressman Hank Johnson. He's been in the news recently. He represents the 4th District from the state of Georgia. He was recently questioning Admiral Robert Willard about the wisdom of adding additional troops to the island of Guam. And he told Admiral Willard that he was concerned that the additional 8,000 troops could cause the island to tip over.
That's the truth.
I mean, he thought that the island might actually capsize from the weight of additional troops. What is going on? And then there's former Congressman Eric Massa, who recently resigned over allegations he was openly groping his male staff members. Or how about William Jefferson, the congressman from Louisiana who was allegedly caught with $90,000 in bribes in his freezer? And to make sure we're fair and balanced, folks, let's throw a Republican in the mix. Let's throw in Mark Foley, a former congressman from Florida who allegedly had sent sexually explicit messages over the internet to underage male pages on his staff. These examples, countless others, are symbols of a government that is out of control.